What's going on, everyone? The Toronto Raptors appear primed and ready to start unloading several of their pieces on the roster. The Toronto Raptors have really underachieved and underperformed, and it's time for the Raptors to start looking in other directions, retooling or rebuilding one or the other. And one of the pieces that are in the forefront is OG Anunoby, and his market value seems to be extremely high right now, which makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of teams that would absolutely love and could use an OG Anunoby. He plays a very important position in today's NBA as a sizable wing and forward that can 3-and-D, put the ball in the hoop. He's actually one of the better young prospects going forward as far as the small forward position goes. And of course, with that, the demand goes up and the price goes up. And Toronto has a pretty high asking price for OG Anunoby, which is completely understandable because they don't have to trade them. They don't necessarily want to trade him. He's 25 years old. He's a piece that you could have for the next several seasons. They're almost better off trading Pascal Siakam just because Pascal Siakam is a couple years older, and I think you'd get more of a return for Siakam than you would for OG. And then you could use OG as a piece to kind of go forward with, and you got that piece. But nonetheless, teams seem to be primed and ready to offer the Toronto Raptors essentially whatever they want for OG. And the way that players have been going this past offseason and very likely during this trade deadline, it makes sense that Toronto's gonna get a really nice return for OG. Now, the New York Knicks are a team that has actually been pretty solid this season. And they're a team that really wants to compete as soon as possible. They're a team that not only is like vying for a star, they want a star extremely badly, are extremely close to, if they just even get like that mid-tier guy, maybe not necessarily a star, but somebody that can come in and kind of round out the roster. That is their hope with a guy like OG Anunoby. Jalen Brunson has really worked out for him and has been very good. RJ Barrett, Julius Randle. But my only question with OG Anunoby is just fit-wise. Like, how are they going to make that work with Barrett, OG, Randle, and then Brunson, right? Do they look to move Barrett maybe, which is something that they've toyed around for a while, right? Because you're going to have Julius Randle's going to play the 4. Barrett, I guess you could start Barrett at the 2 and kind of have like a longer, bigger roster. I just think, I don't know if I think OG can play the 2 in spots, but I don't think that's the guy. I think he's best served at the 3. That's just me personally. But I do think the Knicks, look, you can't complain. And the Knicks have more than enough to acquire a guy like OG Anunoby. They have some of the best assets in the league as far as like a combination of young talent as well as just a treasure trove of draft picks. So I don't think the New York Knicks are going to have any issue getting OG Anunoby if they want to. It's just to what threshold are they willing to go to, right? Because other teams are bidding, other teams are buying in to try to get OG, even a team like Dallas and stuff. But I think New York is, in my opinion, the best position to get OG. I also think that he's a guy that could fit in rather seamlessly, right? You know what his role is. He knows what his role is. You know what you want him to do. He knows what he needs to do. Just come in, plug and play, get him into the starting lineup. Have maybe Brunson, Barrett, OG, Randle, and Robinson. Like, that could be your starting 5, or, Hartenstein. Although I don't know. My concern is just clunkiness, right? Like, it feels like the Knicks get clunky already at times. And you'll see them kind of like, almost like they haven't figured out like who's 1, who's 2, who's 3, who's 4, right? And so OG comes in. He's a guy like, is Brunson going to be willing to make and run the offense to a point to allow OG to get the offense and the shots up that he needs to in order to thrive and grow with the Knicks? Is Julius Randle going to be willing to do that? Because those are kind of like their 2 playmakers, the ones that create the most. So, is OG going to be able to get the reps in and be able to produce and develop the way that you would want him to grow and develop on the Knicks? I think that's a real question, and I think it's a reasonable question. OG, I think in the right situation, in the right environment, I think could become one of the top, I think he could be a top, 3-and-D style shooting guard. I think he could be up there with the Jeremy Grants. I mean, many would argue that he already is. He's a guy that's still very young, very proven. It's just, is the Knicks the right environment and the right situation for this? I really think that's a fair question. I really do. I think that that's something that, is he going to be able, what he's going to get? He's going to be a defensive stopper. He's going to be able to knock down the three ball. He can create for himself. He can score in bunches. He can do a little bit of everything, right? And he's young enough to where he's only going to improve and get better. It's just the Knicks, they already at times just seem like they don't have that definitive, I'm number one, I'm number two, right? A lot of times it seems like it's Randall and Brunson, and then Randall, and then RJ comes in and he goes, on a little stretch or whatever, or Brunson's, driving and kicking, and, so it's like, is there going to be enough shots and enough opportunity for everybody that's on the roster as well as OG? And is OG going to be able to fit and seam in seamlessly? I do think the idea is very plug and play. I think, you have sizable wing that could do everything, a little bit of everything, right? And he's young enough to grow and develop and be a key part of your team for the next, 7 to 10 years. And so that is perfect, right? He is a hot commodity. He's a guy that I think is essentially his skill set is seamless in any team. But it's just with the Knicks, how do they, one, what are they giving up? And two, how do they structure it to where OG can be effective and he's not just he doesn't resort to a 9-point-a-game defensive guy, right? How are you going to be able to keep him to where he's a 15 to 20 point per game guy that's getting the shots, that's getting the opportunity, that is willing to buy in and play defensively? If he goes from, the third option in Toronto to the fifth option on the Knicks, and he just becomes, like I said, a 9-point-a-game defensive stopper, you're not really doing him justice, and you're not really doing the Knicks justice, right? The whole point of getting him is he's a guy that can come in, guard the best player on the other team, and still give you 15 a night. That's what you need. Think of an Andrew Wiggins on the Warriors, right? Andrew Wiggins is giving you 15 a night, but some nights he'll give you 9, but there's other nights we'll give you 30. He's a guy that you could just give it to and go to, but he can guard the best player on the other team. He can go generate his own buckets, get his own points. OG could be that fit for the Knicks, and is he willing to buy into that though? Because Andrew Wiggins was willing to come in and be the, third, fourth option. And on some nights when he's feeling it, he's the hot hand, feed it to him. And the Warriors are willing to do that. Or the Knicks. I think Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Brunson are solid. In my opinion, if you get OG Anunoby, you trade RJ Barrett. That's just me. I think you'd get a nice package for RJ, and I think you go get this is essentially your big three. I think if you could take RJ Barrett and go get, some other pieces that can kind of come in and be kind of like the fill-in guys, I think that that's perfect, right? I just don't know if RJ, Brunson, OG, and Randall are really going to fit. I just don't. And I think OG gives this team what they need more than RJ does right now. I think RJ is a great player, and I do think in the right situation, he would be fantastic, right? But I think, I almost feel like if you could go and get, if you could turn RJ into, although the Knicks ideal would be like Zach LaVine, right? The Knicks would love to go get OG and then go get Zach LaVine. I don't think you need that, right? I don't. I think if you get OG Anunoby, I'd like to upgrade the center position personally. I would love for them to go take a package, if I'm the Knicks, to go get Miles Turner and maybe Buddy Hield, right? Maybe you could take RJ Barrett and, a couple pieces and go get that, because now you got the floor spacing 3-and-D center. You got a, sniper in Buddy Hield. to pair alongside OG Anunoby. So you got the defensive shot blocking, floor spacing center. You got the 3-and-D potential elite small forward. You got your shot creator and bucket getter and Jalen Brunson. You got, your point forward in Julius Randle, and he can spread the floor, and I think Miles Turner would help tremendously. And that now you got your dead ice. Like, to me, that's one of the best starting fives in the league if everything approaches correctly, because you have the shooting now. You have the point forward. You have the dominant center. You have and I think Miles Turner and I know a lot of people like Mitchell Robinson, they think like he's the guy. I just think with the way that if you go get OG, I think Miles Turner would be the best center in that position. And maybe you could take RJ Barrett and, Mitchell Robinson and go get, Miles Turner. Or, even if you don't do that, like go get Gary Trent. If you could get Gary Trent and OG Anunoby, that would be perfect, right? And then trade RJ Barrett. And then maybe you could trade RJ Barrett for Miles Turner and some pieces. And maybe go get get Duarte, right? Something like that as like just a backup small forward shooting guard. But I think even then, like imagine if you have Brunson, Trent, OG, Randall, and Turner. Like, come on, that would be insane. And look, I'm not a Knicks fan. I am nowhere near a Knicks fan, but I do think that would be fantastic. If that was them, I think that those are the moves to make. I just worry about OG's fit alongside the other three guys that are on this team because it's already clunky at times. And I think adding another guy in OG, I think you're just going to take away a lot of his value. But that's my thoughts and my opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. I'd love to hear yours. So let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think like, no, OG would come in, he'd be fine. It'd work seamlessly, it'd be perfectly. Or do you think, no, like, yeah, if you get OG, trade RJ Barrett, go get some pieces. I'm not saying they have to trade for Miles Turner or something. I just think of like what is a potential possibility that you could get that would make sense. I think if you're talking about the Indiana Pacers, I think they would love to take RJ Barrett, right? And you could basically swap that. It's just a thought. It was just something I'm throwing out there. But again, love to hear your thoughts, opinions. Let me know down in the comment section below.